Welcome to the Rebel Love Show. We are a once-a-week broadcast from Manchester, New Hampshire. You can like us on Facebook. We're on YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes. We are also syndicated on JRev Radio and Voluntary Virtues. We are pro-pot, pro-gun, and pro-coffee.
And pro-cider, I guess. That's
where's the moonshine, man?
Moonshine's in the fridge. I decided I turned down. For what? The show.
And then we got wine over here as well. He's trying to be sophisticated.
Yes.
Anyways, I'm Ron Mathias.
I am Joel Valenzuela.
And I'm Shire Dude.
Andrew Familio, Shire Dude. And we're taking a page out of Nate Sliffe today. Nate Sliffe is our guest.
Oh, man.
How you doing, Nate?
I'm quite well.
How's that port treating you?
It's delicious. I've been on a little port kick lately, you know.
Yeah.
Drinking the port.
Drinking the port?
Mm.
You've been docked at port for a while, haven't you?
I suppose, yeah, you could say that.
So, why do we have you on the show again? I forget.
Good question.
Is it because of your sexy chest that you're so seductively?
Do you shave your chest?
I don't. I get that all the time. Actually, people ask me. I'm just naturally, not a hairy dude.
Yeah,
I feel sorry for you.
No, dude, it's good. You know what it is?
It's a blessing.
I love it.
People who have a lot of hair here tend to lose it up here. I've noticed that.
That's very true.
Like my uncle, he's bald and he has a big chest hair. He always has poofing out there. My dad
just migrates south.
My dad has just about as much hair as Nate, and he has a full head of hair, and he's like 60.
Do you know why that is? It's related to testosterone, and that male balding is a result of some kind of testosterone buildup in the scalp, or a testosterone derivative or whatever. So yeah. Anyway, so men with lots of testosterone in their system tend to be hairy, and they also tend to bald. And then men with less testosterone will keep their hair and are less hairy.
The more testosterone you have, the less hair you have
on your head, and the more hair you have on your body.
Oh,
the more
so you have no testosterone? Is that what you're trying to say?
Oh no, I mean I've got plenty. I'm good. Well, I mean I'm on the I guess I got
a jar in the fridge.
It works. Don't worry. I mean, testosterone.
Now Shire Dude, I've never seen you naked, which is a very sad thing. I should do this one of these days. But in the meantime, do you have a hairy chest?
No, it's actually pretty sparse.
So you're pretty much hairless except for... So you're going to be pretty good with the head situation, right? What about your dad? What does he look like?
Oh, my dad's bald. Yeah.
How hairy is his chest?
Pretty dang hairy.
So how many years do you have?
Well, that's the thing is
because I can see the...
It doesn't...
I see it in you.
It's the way it
comes. I'm not trying to burst your bubble, but I see it coming.
Well, now, I think... Here's the deal, all right? Misery loves company.
I got the nuclear option. It's going to happen at some point.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I'm well aware. I admit it live here on the show. Yeah, we'll shave it off.
Oh, yeah, my dad
I'm not going to do a comb where once it gets to a certain point, it's gone.
He had the George Costanza.
Do you know Julius Caesar invented the comb over? I just learned that today.
Really?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Anyways, why do we have Nate here?
Yes.
That's what the show's about.
Nate
is a special guest.
Well, for one thing,
let's
start out with this one thing right here, okay? You are like a native. Like, you've lived in New Hampshire your whole dang life.
Oh, almost.
Pretty much, yeah. You've lived all around the state. You're not some, jet setter running around all the place. You're like a salt of the earth kind of guy, you know?
No doubt.
Like, you're the kind of guy, you're the anti-free stater in a lot of ways, in that, you are as New Hampshire as the old man in the mountain himself.
Except
he's
Jesus.
That's quite the compliment.
Except he's dead and you're still here.
Wow.
Yeah, he parted his face.
So does that make me better than the old man of the mountain?
I would say so.
You're the new old man.
Whoa.
So tell me about this invasive species known as the porcupines we see in the background here. How does that? What is your perspective, Len?
Sure.
What do you think of porcupines? And tell us about how you first got to notice porcupines, what your initial findings were, and then now what you think, all that stuff.
Cool.
Go ahead, talk.
Yeah. So I didn't even know about the Free State Project until the Ron Paul primary started in the late of 2011. He announced his campaign, and I jumped right in and started working in New Hampshire, and I met porcupines then. So prior to that, I didn't even know about the Free State Project. Didn't even know about it, even though I was familiar with Ron Paul in the prior election and everything like that. I didn't get involved. So So yeah, I met Chris Lawless was one of the first porcupines I met.
You mean Ron Paul's freaking giant?
Ron Paul's freaking giant. Who else did I meet right off the bat? Kevin.
Kevin Bloom?
Bloom, right? Mongo. Kevin Bloom. So those folks I met right away, and that's and it was awesome. I thought it was great. You know, that this was going on.
Were you in like a constitutionalist phase at all during like the Ron Paul thing, or
Hardly.
you just skip past that?
Hardly, yeah, no. No, I always had a very volunteerist tinge to my, outlook on things. Kind of a hippie kind of thing that I picked up.
So did you ever have like a statist-leaning thing, or were you just always
Never, no.
So you were always just kind of either just uninformed, didn't care, or just want freedom, period?
Yeah, definitely freedom. I was always breaking the rules in school and, trying to push the limits and stuff.
Nate Sliffe, who was a rebel. He got in trouble in school.
Detention.
Detention.
Yeah.
So you've been in the community for, I guess now, what, 3 years, 4 years? 3 years?
Kinda. Yeah, you could say that. But I mean,
You've been in depth since I've been here.
Right, but I mean, I would say I moved to Manchester in September. So almost a year now I moved. So, it's been like 11 months.
We moved the same time.
Yeah, and that's really when I got involved with the scene here. Prior to that, I just knew people, like Facebook friends and like, shit like that. Like I never really was hanging out.
So do you think we're a bunch of fucking weirdos?
Yeah, what's it like hanging around with a bunch of
yeah, because we're like
staters.
Like you actually have like roots and community and a bit of normalcy to you if you want to. We have none of that. So what is it? What is it like hanging about with a bunch of total freaks?
Well, that's not true. You got you used the daywalker analogy, and I like that.
Oh yeah.
And you guys are all daywalkers for sure, and all that. But it's a very unique crowd. But they're not weirdos by any means. I think it's a pretty that's my phone. I think that's actually pretty consistent. I think it's pretty consistent like cross section of the movement in general. You know what I mean? So, I think that's cool.
Yeah. So, all in all, the invasive species, are Free Staters in a way more New Hampshire than a lot of other New Hampshireites in terms of bringing the live free or die spirit back?
Yeah,
bringing sexy back.
No doubt, you could say that, especially in terms of the southern New Hampshire population down here. I mean, it's definitely not. You guys have to bring contrast to that for sure. So.
What's the southern population here that you think? What do you think they're like?
Well, it's they're exactly like they're Massachusetts. People who move from Massachusetts or Connecticut or elsewhere too. But just like they bring like that uptight New England like bullshit up to New Hampshire. And it's just like. It's really not like that here. If you get back to if you really get back to the smaller towns and you find natives, like generations of people that lived here, you just there's that they don't tolerate that, they don't like it, and so.
Yeah, I thought it was very funny because on Independence Day or Independence Day weekend, we went around the state doing New Hampshire Independence Day protests or demonstrations talking about. Well, basically leading up to secession from the United States of America. And the reception we got was shockingly positive on a day that you'd think that people would get this like America like knee-jerk reaction. And that was one of the best days of my life is just seeing how New Hampshire is so out of the Union already in its sort of mindset. And it was pretty crazy. And has it always been that way as far as you've been concerned?
I don't know. I think we have the same the same America, that same like stereotypical patriotism that is common in the rest of the country. Like I think we have that still here, but people are a little smarter about it. I think they like what it stands for. Then they still don't worship the government. Like you know what I mean? Like.
Well, that and a lot of people here seem to just locals in general love New Hampshire. Like you see a lot of people with New Hampshire tattoos and like loving the
brands. I know kids who did a brand on themselves. New Hampshire brand.
What?
Yeah, they burn really like
cattle.
I'll have to
Wow.
I'll have to pull it up. Yeah, I'll have to pull it up later.
That's a little hardcore.
Yeah. Now I think it was interesting because one thing I do sometimes is I go around door to door knocking on people's doors, for Americans for Prosperity, asking questions about like people's views and stuff. And I remember it's weird the amount of smaller government Democrats you'll find around here is just weird as hell. And I remember one old lady, I knocked on her door and she's like, oh, she liked Obamacare, but then she identified as liberal, like 2 to 3 out of like the 1 to 9 spectrum. And then when asked about taxes, then she chuckled. She she said, "This is New Hampshire. We lower taxes." And it was like a Democrat, a definite like lefty in New Hampshire is still like, "This is New Hampshire. We lower taxes here."
You're right. There's a lot of that. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's different.
So how did you get involved in the whole political machine? Because you seem to be not because like I went to school for statesmanship, which is related to political science. I've been interning and working in all these kind of public policy organizations forever. Like, I have an excuse to be involved in this kind of field, but, like, you don't seem to be from that at all. And how did you get involved in politics to begin with?
Well, it started with, Ron Paul.
Everything good started with Ron Paul.
What did you do for Ron Paul?
Well, in 2008, I voted for him. And it stopped there for me. I watched the debates on cable television. That's actually the first time I saw him. Was on cable television, and I watched a couple debates, and then I looked him up on the net, and I was like, all right, he's got my vote. And that was cool. And then I didn't get involved at that point. I didn't really
Yeah.
But then as soon as he announced, I jumped in heads first in 2011. So.
Yeah, it seems like Ron Paul is the national scales version of Ian Freeman on the New Hampshire scale. It's like everyone's first experience with the Free State, or for the most part, tends to be Ian Freeman and Free Talk Live, and then they just come here, and then Ron Paul seems to be most people's red pill moment across the nation, and it's like just the volume of people you talk to, of the most hardcore people who are red pilled by Ron Paul, is just crazy. I mean, that guy, we better. I mean, he's not long for this world.
He'll go down. Yeah, he'll go down in history, like centuries from now. It might not. He won't. Not in our generation, he won't get any credit, but in our lifetime,
Oh, I'm
in the
giving,
future,
I'm
he'll
giving
be
the credit
considered a
right now.
philosopher.
Yeah.
Ron Paul is freaking giant.
Yeah, centuries from now, he's gonna be something.
Ron Paul.
Special. Yeah.
Yeah, no one will remember him for his ill-fitting suit anymore. Everyone will just remember he changed the fucking world.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've been involved not just like generically liberty, but in a lot of these more establishment kind of ways, like Young Americans for Liberty, Students for Liberty, and things like that. The organizations that, bizarrely, in the Free State and the Free State movement don't tend to be the first go-to for liberty. So what do you think about that whole being involved in the system thing, as opposed to just, we're agorist, man, and just going completely off the grid?
Yeah. Well, to fill in the rest of the story, he asked me. Rob asked me what I did for Ron Paul. So, I volunteered in Concord as the Concord co-chair for the campaign under the Merrimack County chair, Ron Noyes. Some people might know him. So, anyways, I did that, and I worked my butt off for months. And then the Youth for Paul people came into New Hampshire for the primaries week, and I didn't even know, and I met all those people, and that is basically YAL. I don't know, a lot of people don't know that, but that's Jeff Frazee and Ed King ran that, and their whole team ran that.
Now, just so you know, I used to work with Ed King across the hall from me in 2008 in the Leadership Institute, so I know all this.
Yeah,
everyone knows everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I couldn't believe it. I saw you on Facebook the other day. I was like, holy cow, we have like 250 mutual friends. I was like, wow, that's crazy. We have 250. But
they're all the same people.
Yeah. But they're all Liberty people. But yeah, so
but not just Liberty people, but like as far as Rob and I have like 800 mutual friends
like
or more than
wow,
that.
That's crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, as far as working for the establishment or whatever you want, that group's not establishment in my opinion whatsoever. But
well, it influences the establishment.
It does, and they're not afraid to work with them, and they're not afraid to and all that. But so. YAL, those are my people. They scooped me up from New Hampshire, and they put me on the road with them in Nevada and Las Vegas, and then in Seattle. And I should have gone to Colorado too, but I didn't really work that out right. And then, so anyways, they hooked me up. They hooked me up with a job with Right to Work in Kentucky after that for the general election. And so they're just like, it's just an awesome network. You know what I mean? They're really, that's what I appreciate about it. And I don't always see eye to eye with them. I get emails that I snort at and stuff, but it's
About them legals.
but they're great. They're great people to work with, and I really appreciate it. And they'll help. And if you'll put in the work, they'll help you like 100%. You know what I mean? Like if you're willing, if any activist or young activist wants to get involved and like do the work, they will back you up till everything you need. You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah,
worthwhile.
I've noticed that, and the reason I'm here and not in D.C. is because I realize that working within the system is not necessarily the strongest and the best way we can influence the future of liberty. However, I have always liked, for lack of a better term, Beltwaytarians, because they tend to be educated.
Professionalism.
Yeah, educated and professional, and they got their shit dialed, and they tend to also have a little bit less of an objectivist tinge to them, in that they're willing to like actually help other people and help the cause at cost to themselves personally.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people, for example, around here who tend to move here to hide. Just they move here and they disappear, and they don't want to like actually do anything to advance liberty. And it's like I appreciate, even if it's even saying it were misguided to try to influence the political system at all. I appreciate that kind of effort that you're going out there and actually doing something and doing it with professionalism and dedication, things like that. And that's why I've always kind of kept the one foot in the system influencing wing of liberty.
I always like to see some people come here and just do something. Like, it doesn't even have to be political. Like, there's enough here in the community to do something for the community. Like, if you're hiring free staters or people in the liberty community, to me, that's something. You're doing something. You're offering services or a value to the community. Like, I mean, most people come here because they actually want to change. I came here because I want to change the world. Like, I just don't want to change New Hampshire. Like, not just for myself, but the entire world, I think, can be changed from the people that are coming here to move, and the people that are already getting involved with, like yourself, like in the community. The stuff that we're doing here, the community that's being built, the ideas of freedom that are becoming more popular. Like, this will change. Sometimes I always feel like we're going through, like I'm walking through history, because I feel like this will change the world. Hopefully, in my lifetime. If not, it won't. But at least I know that I am trying to do something with my life and trying to change something that I see is wrong.
I think the Free State Project can change the world in our lifetime.
Yeah.
I do believe it can do that.
If you believe. Do you believe, Nate?
I believe. I believe.
What do you
Yeah.
what do you think the locals are going to react to when, instead of there just being 1,600 of us, there's 5, 6, 7,000 of us?
Yeah, we're not even talking about
I'm
the
not even talking about the
20,000.
20,000. I'm just
Right.
saying, like, triple our
just-
numbers now.
What I think the locals will think?
Yeah.
You mean
Well,
by
it
the end of the year?
depends. I mean, it depends on how what happens, what the behavior is like, and whatever. I hope. I totally believe in the movement, so I'm sure it'll be good.
Well, yeah, the movement's based on like getting along with other people, right?
Yeah.
Which isn't always easy.
Non-aggression
as we've experienced
principle.
firsthand, but still.
I mean, you move a massive amount of peaceful people into an area. I would only imagine it would become more peaceful.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing is, like, you already see the Stop Free Keene crowd, like, being kind of violent towards
Sure.
the Keeniacs.
But the
Just some-
Like,
Keeniacs,
that's kind of like, to
that's
me,
kind of what I was suggesting.
to me, that's kind of like a microcosm what could happen in
But
the
then
rest of the state.
their numbers are dwindling, right? And you've got all these.
and there's a reason for that. I support everybody's right to activism and do whatever you want, but I think that some things are more effective than others, and some things could potentially be detrimental. And
yeah,
we should be aware of how you're affecting people. I think as individuals we are responsible for how we make other people feel in a way.
Exactly.
You have to be aware of that to an extent. You can't always be like
There-
super PC and but you do want to be aware of that and influence them in a
It
positive
depends on
positive feelings.
It depends on what your objective of your activism is.
Yeah.
Like this right here, what we're doing right here, this isn't really for New Hampshire people. Like, what we're doing is trying to talk to people that aren't here yet to move and kind of spread the message of liberty that way. We're talking about what's going on here. Now, mind you, if it wakes up locals, fantastic. That's like a net benefit. But I mean, like a lot of Keeniacs, I kind of view like their activism as more so showing how to live like a free, like they're pushing the needle way beyond like what most activists do. But because they film it and they talk about it, it goes on the internet. People read it, they get inspired. Derek J's victimless crime spree. Next thing you know, me and Andrew are signing the pledge, and we're making the move.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I agree that it's probably some of their activism isn't the greatest for locals, but when I say for locals, that's probably true, but for the the internet at large,
Sure,
that's a whole different story. It's a whole different is a net benefit in that way, because there's a lot of people here that move because they see what was going on in Keene.
yep.
Yeah, now I'd like to add a thing on that note. This Sunday afternoon, I was going in to get some work done with Ian, and there was a police encounter right outside the place of work where we were at, and some guy was getting arrested and hauled away over some license issue, some bullshit, again, some completely victimless crime.
Right.
And so we started filming it, cop walking, of course, because that's what we do. And the bystanders, who were relatives and friends of the person being arrested, came over initially, requested we stop filming because they're like, it's embarrassing, this and that, and they were not very happy with us in the beginning. Then we informed them what we're doing here. Instead of going I have a right to film kind of thing and trying to force that issue and making enemies, we were going, well, look, we're just trying to make sure no abuse happened. We're trying to look out for you guys. And they turned completely around and were really happy and grateful by the end of the encounter, because we just said, look, all we're here to do is just make sure you guys don't get abused by the police. And she's like, I hate the Manch PD, and good job, thanks for doing this and stuff. They came over with a confrontational thing in mind, but then they came away with like, these guys are just our friendly neighborhood cop blockers, just making sure no one gets beat down like in fucking Mississippi now.
Yeah,
Gosh.
what is going on in Ferguson? Like, I watched a couple YouTube videos of
whatever.
what's going on there. Holy shit! Like, if you don't know that the police state's intact, like in place now, like,
Right.
I mean, I kind of woke up with the whole like Boston
The
strong.
Boston- I was gonna
Now
say
you're
Boston.
a local, like
I was just
that's
gonna- I was gonna say
yeah. I saw that and like, holy shit! Like like SWAT teams going down the street, going door to door. But like you see all these military vehicles with sound cannons and shooting out tear gas, and all having fully automatic weapons. They look like stormtroopers going through the street, like shooting tear gas at peaceful protesters about someone being killed. Against the police.
Yeah.
And and like you see the amount of people out there that you would think that's like, Istanbul, Turkey, or, that's in Egypt or something like that. No.
And they had
That's
the whole area-
Missouri.
Right, and the whole area was in Boston. At
Missouri.
least everything was on
Missouri.
lockdown. Everybody.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Like
Yeah.
you couldn't be outside your house. You were like contained to your home. It was, like,
And didn't New Hampshire send some stormtroopers out there too?
The Keene Bearcat went there. I know
that's
that.
new. That's news to me, but I wouldn't be surprised if New Hampshire sent stuff down to Boston.
Yeah, it was a dark time,
Yeah.
and not because people got blown up.
Right.
I mean, that's a hard thing to say,
Right.
but it's like people getting blown up in the marathon was the least macabre thing of the whole experience, and that's really sad.
Yeah, it's just seeing that on TV was. God, I remember watching it live. I can't believe that this is happening.
Oh, you watched it live? Huh?
Yeah, I remember watching it live.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was like, I can't believe this is happening in America.
But you know what was funny? The Dunkies were still all open.
Yeah.
Just saying. They were. Seriously, all the businesses were closed down except they kept Dunkin' Donuts open.
I still see Boston Strong stuff at like Dunkin' Donuts and other places, and I
yeah.
get sick to my stomach seeing that. I'm like, this is like propaganda.
Well,
That they're literally selling.
I'm
And I
one of
love
the big
Dunkins.
proponents and pioneers of the hashtag Boston Week. I use that all over the place without apology. No apology.
That's funny.
Yeah, but
I mean, in their defense, Boston's a pretty strong city as far as cities go. If
Well,
there was a
I
city,
don't
if
know,
there
it's-
was
they
a
explored
people,
Boston,
if there was
yeah.
a city that you could define as strong, in my opinion, Boston's up in the top, like 5 easily.
You know what's funny? Doug Stanhope, the great comedian, he was talking about New York. He was doing some special in New York, and he was talking about how miserable it is and how comedy works in miserable situations. And then he started making fun of him, because every good comic knows how to make fun of the city they're in, right? Not just, yeah, right, New York. And he was like, you guys pretend you're all tough, and I'm in New York, I'm tough. And then you have, Bloomberg's cock so far up your ass that you can't do anything. It's like, you pretend to be strong, you're fucking pussies, y'all. And that was a very good kind of point that the strong people are us in New Hampshire, right? And just people that just know how to rely on themselves and don't bend over for every fucking clown in a badge and a fucking blue suit.
No doubt.
And it's like, oh, we're tough people because we just bend over in front of the fucking cops all the time and just give all our money to the state and just like, no. The tough people are like the people in like the far corners of Alaska, the little north part, New Hampshire, places like, Wyoming where there isn't anything, like stuff like that. That's where the tough people are. That's where the real respectable people are. I mean, you go to I know Boston's like a tough city, but it's tough, but it's like, nah.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying?
A good measure of strength is like how much shit are you willing to deal with from your government? How much shit are you going to put up with? Right?
That's a sign of strength.
Here, it's a tiny, tiny bit of shit, and that shows our strength right there.
There you go. There you go. Let's change subject a little quick, because both of you, Shire Dude and Nate, both of you guys do agorism and deal Bitcoin, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
True.
Not the
Are you
one
guys
that on
shitting your
record.
pants right now with what the price of Bitcoin's at?
Not particularly.
Really? You're not worried? I mean, it dropped to almost like $400 like a
Yeah.
couple days ago.
I don't
It's just a buying.
right.
I'm like, just so you know, this week, not bragging, but I finally got my first over 1 Bitcoin.
Woo!
Congrats.
Wow. So only thank you, Bitcoin, for being so fucking low that I could actually be Bitcoin balling in here.
Yeah, I'm just mad that I can't buy more right now.
I do not buy Bitcoins. I sell Federal Reserve notes.
Oh.
All right.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, I know. Whenever I get my, I'm the dealer. I'm selling Federal Reserve notes. Like, I got a supply I'm trying to get rid of. Like, who wants to buy some?
And if you're objectivist girl, you don't sell Federal Reserve notes. You
just
burn them,
burn 'em.
and then people donate Bitcoins for watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, seriously, though, like, this guy, man. Like, I bring a date in, and I'm going to try and he goes up to him and goes up to her and starts talking about it. I'm not using their money and stuff like that. She has no fucking clue who they are or their money, what that means.
Well, I'm
Who is
sorry.
this crazy
You
man?
bring her
Okay,
into the
okay.
heart of the,
I guess
like
it's
the
trial-
anarchist movement. And I'm supposed to backtrack like 10 years of my life and say, oh, these are Federal Reserve notes.
Yeah, I know.
I
Trial
figured
by
you would have
fire.
trained
In
her.
1913.
Yeah, trial by fire. All I'm just saying is hashtag never go full keen.
That's not full key, but that's just like,
I know. It is still funny.
fuck their government and fuck their money. I don't want to use it.
Yeah, well, hey, we got it for the moment, but
Right.
it's really exciting, and I will a little bit of something in the news. So, Scott Coin has been doing really well, and that's really what I love is when some weird local alt currency just has these news items happening. It's like, what does that mean for Bitcoin? Like, if the teeny thing that no one knows what the fuck it is doing well, how much better can Bitcoin be doing in integration? So Scott Coin, for one, is getting its first online wallet, right? Online wallet in addition to the smartphone app, right?
You're getting
Also,
all technical on me
one
over
of the
here.
most one of the most famous musicians in Scotland, which I forget his name, is selling his new album for Scott Coin and nothing else. He's not accepting FRNs, not accepting Bitcoin. He's only accepting Scott Coin.
It's pretty hardcore.
That's pretty hardcore. And when people who didn't previously want to adopt Bitcoin, like, this freaking funny money, whatever it is, and they're all getting on board because it's like a regional thing that resonates with them. That's like a slippery slope to accepting Bitcoin, because now they're using something almost like it. So full global Bitcoin adoption is like right around that corner there. I'm just like excited. I just had to share that.
At the Bitcoin meetup on Sunday, because for the listeners at home, in Manchester
home.
has the longest, to my knowledge, the
Longest
longest
running,
Bitcoin meetup, weekly meetup. I don't have glasses that far that I can read that.
Wait.
At any rate, the Manchester has the longest running Bitcoin meetup every Sunday. All right, so there's a bunch of new people there, which is kind of, sometimes you get to know everyone that always shows up to the meetups, and a couple new movers, and some liberal financier guy came, and he was British, no less, and he was talking about he went on this whole diatribe about against Bitcoin and the Federal Reserve. Like, it was so great that they printed money. They just threw money on a fire. They burnt money, but it saved the building, and then he's talking about how like these people in Scotland, they don't know what's going on. They have no idea what's going to happen if they secede from UK, and I always find like, look, I support them seceding from voting themselves away, getting away from the UK just as much as I support New Hampshire.
For the viewers at home, what he's trying to say is he threw down.
I threw it down on him, and it was like he went off on Scottish independence, and he went off on it was like, then he went down when I mentioned New Hampshire independence and like not taking my money, like what's mine is mine. Of course, what's the next reasonable response from a status like that? Well, who will build the roads?
Is that what he really said? Who will build the roads?
Yeah, he really went to the roads.
They all do though.
They always do. It's like they're trained in their mind. Like they
so
have
funny.
like a list of what they have to go down.
And the roads are the one thing.
The police, the hospital.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, and I might have said this before on the show, but the one thing, if I were a hardcore statist, right, and I'm talking about what anarchy could not provide, I wouldn't go to the roads first. I would go to like, well, what about rule of law? Who's gonna, if you steal something, who's gonna go take it back? And like, if you get wronged, who get assaulted, who's gonna put that criminal away? That would be my first go-to.
My first go-to would be who would pick the cotton.
Yes.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
don't Molyneux me, please. This is a sacred spot. Keep that fucker out of here.
Who will
okay?
pick the cotton?
Yeah, but the roads. It's so funny because roads has become such a meme in the liberty community that it's like, but it still happens. You can't hear a status saying that and just not crack up because it's just like the roads.
The thing is, they don't even know their status.
Yeah, they don't even.
You say a status, they have no idea what that even means. They're so ingrained into the
So
idea.
how do we reach those people? Like, how do we? Do we have to find their one little pet project and then open their eyes to how liberty can expand
one
that?
day at a time.
One thing I try to do when I'm talking to a status, especially like a liberal status or whatnot, because usually conservative status you can kind of always approach differently from like the whole Ron Paul thing and taxes and guns and shit like that.
It's a little easier.
When you talk to a liberal that's a very states, and they're all about these programs, welfare and healthcare and education and all that jazz, and I tell them, look, I am not against anything that you're probably for. In fact, I'm probably for 100% of what you're for. I'm just against you having someone else come to me and steal from me to pay for what you are for.
Violence, man.
Right.
Seriously,
like,
that's what it's all about. That's the big chink in the armor, is violence. Is because that's the one thing they want gun control for and stuff like that, is because they don't want guns on the streets and violence and shooting people. And it's the very emotional thing. And it's like,
how's
okay,
that
look.
working out in Ferguson?
Well, yeah, they say they don't want guns on the streets, but you need guns.
look
to
at 'em.
take
They
Look
roll
at 'em
out
now.
tanks, and not tanks, but like
exactly
armored personnel carriers.
You need weapons to take weapons away from people. So you're
But
just
who
gonna
would
have
shoot the black dudes?
only
right?
cops with guns.
Yeah,
You don't want no guns. You want only cops to have guns.
Yeah, and so it's
They're
like
so trustworthy.
every single thing they want to do, they're like, well, this shouldn't be legal, that shouldn't be legal. It's like, well, what are you going to do about it? Well, we make a law. Well, who enforces that law, and how do they enforce it? So if you're saying don't want guns on the street, you want some of these SWAT dudes who are just shooting up everyone, just kicking down doors and just stealing people's guns from people who've never done anything wrong. And it's just like, I have to share this. Today I saw a BuzzFeed video. Again, not bragging, right? But it was a BuzzFeed video on about 5 anti-gun lefties who shoot for the first time. And it was a really good one because none of them changed their position by the end of it. But for one thing, they're just total gun noobs. But they all enjoyed the experience.
Yeah.
They all got an adrenaline rush. And this one girl in particular was just like, I feel kind of guilty for enjoying it. Like, I'm not supposed to. And it's like, you think she's talking about, like, anal or something like that. It's it's pretty funny. It's like, guns for the left are like what?
Drugs for the right?
Or no, what like kinky,
There you go.
what
Yeah,
kinky sex,
yeah.
what,
Absolutely.
well, let me even say gay sex is for the right. It's like the guiltiest of pleasures that, like, you know how many Republicans have been like outed and have their gay sex scandals? Haven't you noticed that Democrats never have gay sex scandals? They have just straight sex scandals. It's kind of funny the way that happens, but it's like
That's true.
it's their guilty pleasure. It's like, oh, I shot it. It's like someone needs to do a parody of that Katy Perry song that I shot a gun and I liked it.
Ooh, yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
Shire Do material. Get on that. Get on it. So Shard, you were in California, and you were an Obama supporter, no less, right?
Well, no, I wouldn't say Obama supporter.
Voter.
Here's what happened. Yeah, Obama voter.
Let's hear your.
I was
your
gonna vote for
excuse
McCain.
being a statist.
I was gonna vote for McCain.
That's even better.
Yeah, I know it was terrible.
I voted for McCain in 08.
Because
I voted for Obama in 08.
Yeah,
You
right.
did?
I did.
So we're in the same
Wait,
boat.
you actually
God.
did?
I voted for Ron Paul in the primary, and then I voted for Obama because I had family overseas at the time in Iraq, and I believed him when he said he would bring him home.
Wow.
That's
I
the
believe-
same reason that I voted for Obama.
I believed him.
Yeah.
I said you can have
But all he
your
did-
I said you can have your socialist healthcare scheme and ruin the country, but if you can get my cousins home,
Yeah, I just wanted to bring the
That's-
troops home.
That's pretty sweet.
Well, what he did was just tenfold all the wars.
and then now it's like yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, and then I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
Talk about disillusionment right there.
Yeah.
Like I like to say that I owe most of my disillusionment to Barack Obama. So thanks, buddy. You know.
Who do you think has made more push more people to the liberty community, the movement? Ron Paul or Barack Obama?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
I mean,
I'm
like,
going to come out strong for Ron Paul.
I'm gonna go with Ron Paul too. Yeah, I think so.
I
Because like
don't know.
Obama might have turned people off from government, but he wouldn't have turned them into libertarian activists.
That's true.
Hmm.
But he has Obama has pushed a hell of a lot of people because they kind of see what the government can be.
Yeah.
You know, and like that really woke up a lot of conservatives and a lot of Republicans because they pretty much were turning a blind eye because their guy was in office. You know, it's a shame like all those liberals that were anti-war disappeared the moment their guy was in office.
Yep.
You know, because
Oh, yeah.
I was all on board
All
with what they were saying, and then their guy gets in office and
Crickets.
Yeah,
pretty
it's
much.
very tribalist. And it pisses me off. I mean, at least, I wish it's sad because the left at this point in time isn't as left us, right? The left has left all their principles because Obama, not just that it's their guy, but it's Obama the Messiah, right? Because he's in there and he's like the total royal flush of everything they've been trying to do, and he's doing the exact opposite. It's so hard for them to stick with their principles. I mean, you could do like a Bill Clinton or something like that and just go against it and just be like, well, he doesn't represent a leftist ideology like I believe. But Obama, just everything about him, it's just so hard to be like, look, this isn't our guy. I hate him.
Yeah, I mean, I'd argue that they never really had the principles in the first place.
A lot of them didn't. Yeah,
right.
you're right.
And it's just been the doublespeak all along, and so you grew to disillusionment, and so now you see that they never had the principles, but you think it's no longer, whereas it's never had.
Well, it's very cultural and societal.
Yeah.
You know, because one thing I do like about Democrats and liberals is that they're socially liberal. You know, I wish the conservative side of people were socially liberal. You know, unfortunately that's where libertarians come in. I know there's leftist libertarians and whatnot, but a lot of libertarians get their roots from being on the conservative side and going farther down the rabbit hole. You know, but at least they're socially liberal. But there's not that many socially liberal conservatives, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're not conservatives anymore at that point. Yeah.
Well, they can be conservative government, man. I don't think they should be, but I mean, I'll take that over them, being anti-gay and anti-immigrant.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Anti-immigrant, that's how quickly you can find out about how principled conservatives actually are.
Or for
Because
liberty.
you don't just talk about, you talk about the police state that you need to put in place in order to actually secure the border and the papers, please, like Nazi kind of Germany sort of world you'd have to enact to verify people's papered, government-approved right to exist. And it's like if they don't at least open their eyes a little bit to that, you just know they're just shills. And I like to be able to out people for being shills.
There was a guy at the Quill of all places.
Oh, here we go. I like this story.
You were there for that, right? He was talking
No, but I
about.
was there.
Is this
for
one of the new guys that just moved up here?
I don't believe he's new. I think he's been around for a while. I'm not going to say his name, but he was there, and he was saying that borders are okay. Like he's totally fine with borders and keeping illegals out, whereas if you come legally, then it's okay. And then his argument was they were just grilling him. Of course, he's in the freaking Quill.
How the fuck
you
do you
don't-
how do you end up at the Quill?
Yeah.
Of all the Quill, and then be for borders.
He's still like an activist, and I didn't get his whole story, but they boiled him down and down and down until finally he said, "You know what? Here's the thing: is I'm okay with it. Like it doesn't hurt me, and so I'm fine with it." And then I said, "Well, wait a minute. Like, how can you be pro this if the only argument for it that you have left is I'm okay with it? Like, what is good? Why should it be in place at all? And he said, well, because you get citizenship, because that's how you get citizenship. And then I said, well, you're not saying anything with that. What's good about citizenship?
Yeah.
What is good about it? And he had no response.
Yeah, and the one thing that I constantly point out is, like, when I talk about people illegals or no papers, I should say they're the lucky ones. I wish all of us were illegal.
I
want to
be undocumented. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would gladly rescind my citizenship and all my papers and documents and
pretty
whatnot.
expensive.
Well, I would.
Well, they would.
I wouldn't do that.
They would deport me if I did that.
Exactly. I wouldn't do that because of the problems being a not legal citizen happens. For example, I was when I studied international law in the UK, one of my professors there, Charles Hen was his name, and he's a really fantastic professor. And he was of mixed race, of half English and half something else, from Thai, I think, or Chinese. And he was born a stateless person. He was born in the UK, had no UK citizenship, had no whatever else citizenship. He had zero citizenship, and means, according to the world at large, he did not exist. And that was really fucking hard. Like, if you don't exist on paper in this current day, you are hosed and back again.
It sounds like an Edward Snowden trapped in a Moscow airport.
Yeah, so
Right.
under this current system, I wouldn't wish unpaperedness for anyone. However, I would definitely wish, I think, getting us all undocumented. Like that transition. For example, again, my whole rant about the illegal immigration thing and conservatives wanting to create a police state because of that. Anyone heard of, what is it called? The employer ID thing? E-Verify.
Yeah. I know what you're talking
fucking
about.
verify.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's this like government thing that they use that when you apply for a job that checks your U.S. citizenship and ability to work, and so it was basically something just to keep illegal immigrants from getting jobs, and it's just horrible. And it's like, what we have to see, if you're willing, if you want to exchange your labor for money or for anything, well, we got to check with Washington D.C. if you are legally authorized to perform this. If you are a cool
And if you
person.
aren't, you can starve in the street, you frigging animal.
Yeah, and I lived with
Or work illegally.
I lived with a bunch of illegal immigrants in Phoenix, and there's one guy. I mean, I remember he'd go applying for jobs at places that wouldn't accept, that didn't need legality, but like if he asked how much he was being paid, how much the salary was, they just wouldn't hire him. Like literally, because, and what are you gonna do? Go for legal recourse? There is none. You don't care. Like, what are you gonna do? Get a legit job? Pfft, fuck you. And the world is so hard like that, but it makes them so industrious and so hardworking and innovative. And I think, and I wrote an article actually 3 years ago that I just republished today, or no, last week, about how illegal immigrants are the best of America, because they have to go through all these hurdles and all these hard things just to survive, and they're like the most innovative, the most hardworking, the most clever, just the best suited in this country. And it's like we're creating a race of super workers just by persecuting them. It's just like, I mean, I think that's a cool thing to think about, but just the fact that that you could call a person illegal. It's like you could call an American resident illegal. I mean, it's one thing if it's like, well, he came here. This is America. This guy came here. He's been here for like a year. He's not American. Get the fuck out. But it's like if he's been here for 10 years, he's been living here for 10, 20 years, unpapered, and you're trying to say this guy can't vote and influence elections of the country he lives in. It's like, well, because he didn't check that right box. I mean, if you've been living in the U.S. for 18 years because you were born here, you can vote. If you've been living here 20 years illegally, you can't vote even though you've been part of this damn country and this populace for that amount of time. That's just bullshit. You are more American than the people who are younger than you who are just
they're only
born here with
illegal
the right
because the
bits.
people in power deem them to be illegal. I mean, if you look at immigration from like the early and late 1800s, the Irish by the boatload just came over and like, oh, we're here.
Yeah, crashed.
Yeah, that's basically it. They didn't have like didn't have to get documentation. I mean, they might have been a little bit of documentation, but like nothing like huge or anything like that. And then just even though the locals of their day would have signs up that say no Irish need apply, but I mean that
Those are
was
just
like that was
cunts.
local businesses doing it. That wasn't like the government saying you cannot hire an Irish.
Yeah, now
immigrant.
legal immigration, like I don't think any illegal immigrant wants to come here illegally. All right, they just want to come here, and they just can't because get in line. There's 10-year waiting lists. If you're unskilled labor, you just can't come in because that would compete with the unions, and of course the unions they won't do that. Or if you're from Mexico, if you're from, for example, I've been in immigrant places, right? Even though I'm a dual U.S. and New Mexico citizen, I had to go study in the UK and go through all their fucking draconian paperwork just to like get the right to be in their country for a year. And then I flew out the day before my right to exist there expired and all that. And I remember when I was traveling from the UK to France, for example, myself and a Japanese citizen could do so easily. But my other roommate, who's from Burundi in the heart of Africa, he couldn't because he needed to apply for some extra permit because he's from one of those bad countries, dirty countries.
Unwashed countries.
Yeah, and it's like and I dated a French girl for many years, and getting her into the U.S. was very easy to come visit. And I got her to work in D.C. and stuff like that, and it was fairly easy to go through the paperwork mess. Mexicans, no. All of a sudden, it's like you're the wrong kind of immigrant. It's not just by your fucking place of birth. It's such bullshit that people would do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the amount of unpapered people in the Free State, and I don't mean on an immigration status kind of thing, I mean in just everything, is pretty interesting. And I like that there's a whole world being created that doesn't revolve around being legit in the eyes of the government. And the more we can strengthen that world and all work together, I think that's like the next step.
If a business is operating in a fair way and taking care of its customers, and you're working, or it's whoever's buying that product or service or whatnot, and you're working for that, regardless if you're documented or if you're paying taxes or not, that business is legitimate because there's an actual need and there's a reason for it to be in existence. It's a legitimate job if you're not harming anyone just by working. Case in point with agorism in this community, like every agorist is a legitimate business, but in the eyes of the state, they are the criminals because they're not seeking permission and getting the papers to do so.
Now, one last little thing on the immigration thing before we just go full agorist. It's funny, there's a lot of people who say about the Mexican, especially illegal immigrants, that we don't want them here. It's like, really, who's we? How about the people that rent property to them? How about the people that employ them? How about the people that sell stuff to them? They seem to fucking want them here. Like, otherwise they wouldn't do it. And it's like, wait, maybe you and other fucking racists don't want them here, and the government doesn't want them here, but by and large, the United States of fucking America, the people, definitely want them here, otherwise they wouldn't deal with them. Case in point,
I want more people from around the world here personally.
Yeah,
I want like,
especially in New Hampshire, because
yes, please
no
come to New
offense
Hampshire,
to the
illegals.
Caucasians in our audience, but it's just too fucking white here, man.
It's very white.
At least not in Manchester that much, but
Well, not in our neck of the woods, right in
Yeah.
this neighborhood. We got all the diversity right
that
here.
reminds me this afternoon or this evening walking over here, walking from Murphy's, the 2.5 blocks from Murphy's. I got off the plane this morning. So I went literally from the plane to work to here, and I didn't have my piece with me. And like walking through the neighborhood, I was like, ooh, like I didn't feel so comfortable. Like, as I normally
That's
do.
why I train. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, definitely. But it was a different feeling. I was like, like normally I walk through here and it's never occurred to me. Like I don't even consider it. But
how long have you been carrying?
I've had my concealed permit for a couple of years. I don't know.
Okay. Do you always conceal carry? Or
Yeah,
not really to say?
I never open carry. Let's say that much.
Why not?
I just prefer. I don't like the attention, and yeah, I don't want to be questioned or anything like that. And I just like the security. I just like the I don't know, sport show.
Now, open carrying me, I open carry only when I'm trying to. When they open carry at Porkfest, because that's just what you fucking do, right?
Everyone open carries at Porkfest.
Yeah, and if you don't have a PC, borrow one and open carry. But the other thing is, just when you want to make a point or want to like do activism, it's like it's part of it. Or when you want to, like I did a couple weeks ago, go into the Manchester PD and hand out Oathkeeper literature while carrying a firearm. You know, like that's a good
And
start.
we were swiftly kicked out of the Manchester.
Not as
police.
swiftly, not that swiftly.
No.
It took some time.
Nonetheless, it still happened.
What went down with that? What'd they tell you?
That we cannot, that no one can be in there with a firearm.
It's a new policy because again,
Though
Free Staters
apparently,
started doing
apparently, Carrot said he called and talked to the chief or something or whatever, and he was saying that that's you can still do that, just let them know or some weird bullshit like that. I don't know. I think that sign was up there considering that happened after Carrots was in there with his.
They said, "Let us know first." When
I
you're
don't know.
coming
It
in."
was something like that he was telling me that.
But open carrying does let people know you come in. There's a fucking piece.
Yeah, that's
That
how.
lets
Yeah, you
them
can
know. They know.
you can open carry into the state
Yeah.
house in front of the governor of New Hampshire, but they don't want you doing that and going up to talk to a
Yeah, I
police
mean,
officer.
How are they going to know? It's like, well, they didn't know about it already. Well, they know it now.
Though it's amazing how many people I see, because you can always tell when someone's, especially during the summer. In the winter, you really can't, but in the summer, you can tell when someone's concealed carrying because you can see the bulge on their side and whatnot. It always.
It depends on how. Yeah, it depends. But for them, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I notice it if I see a bulge. I automatically think like, well, that's probably a firearm. I already assume
Or a
like maybe
tumor.
15. I would say maybe.
Yeah.
I have a tumor.
Like,
that needs to be a new joke. It's like, are you concealed carrying? You're happy to see me.
But like I see people concealed carrying, and from where I'm from, like that's not even then. That wasn't that's illegal to do so. So like I see it here, and I'm used to it. But among Liberty folk, but when I see like locals doing it, it's a whole nother like wow. Like there's people concealed carrying or even open carrying. I run into people open carrying like out in the wild of New Hampshire, and I'm like they're not Liberty folk. They're just people that are. Conceal like open carrying or concealed carrying.
Now I'll point this out, which is unfortunate. Where I came from right before coming here in Arizona, open carrying is much more prevalent than here. I mean, here it's,
you got all those
not bad.
all those illegals and drug smugglers and whatnot coming in.
You got to cut off a syllable. It's legal. Illegals.
Oh, okay.
Them legals. America. Yeah, but it's like I see people in coffee shops just like with the piece, and it's like, whatever. It's because it's more rural even than New Hampshire. New Hampshire's semi-rural, as in most of it's kind of out in the stakes, but you got little towns here, there, everywhere. And out in Arizona, there's like Phoenix, which is huge, and there's
I
nothing.
thought you were in Phoenix, no?
Yeah, I was in Phoenix, but still, the whole state is just nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the whole state. It's just country. And then if you just see gun, who cares? I've seen people in town of Douglas, Arizona, where my dad's from. I would see people walking around. Some guy was just riding a horse down the sidewalk with like a big 6-shooter on his hip, and it wasn't like he was a weird guy making a weird stunt. It's just some guy, right?
Yeah.
I just came from work. I'm just gonna go downstairs and get some groceries, and just like on his horse, and it's like that's pretty legit. But so I definitely would like to see more open carrying happening here, and because one of that cop locking incident when I was open carrying, some immigrant, probably of African origin, I would assume, was like, "What are you doing? Like, what's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just carrying." He's like, "Are you a cop or something?" I'm like, "No, it was New Hampshire. We just open carry." It's like, wow, like it was an educational moment for this person.
That was kind of like when we were coming back from Pork Fest and we stopped at that Liberty gas station where there's like all this like Liberty propaganda everywhere, and Neil was there.
Neil
and
Connor.
He was
Love that
paying
guy.
for his gas with Bitcoin. And there was like some freedom slogan behind him written in chalk on the wall. There's a Bitcoin accepted here logo. He's got his firearm on his side, and this little girl comes. I captured this on film, and
She's
it's just
like-
like amazing. Like little 4-year-old girl, and he goes, "Hey,
Six.
miss." Yeah, he goes, "Hey, mister, what's with the gun? Are you a sheriff or something like that?" And he goes, "Oh, well, just like how I have insurance on my car,
How you
protection
wear
and
your
whatnot,
seatbelt.
or seatbelt. Like this is just for my personal protection." And he was it was like this magical libertarian like nexus moment of like all these different things happening at once, and it was just like incredible to like
Yeah,
capture.
Here in the community, we refer to said incident as a libertygasm.
Yeah, yeah, it was magical.
Yeah, it was magical and libertygasmic.
For sure. All right, we are coming up at the close pretty soon here.
Yeah.
So,
So Nate, we
Yes.
always like to allow our guests to whore themselves out. So yeah, this is where you
Yeah.
shake it.
Well,
do
if you want to throw your
any-
Snapchat out there to all the ladies, feel free and go ahead and do that.
Yeah, go visit Nate at nateshugeload.com. Anyway, so
The secret's out.
so I don't know what you want to involve personal business in this, but if you want to pimp anything you do out, whether Yal or anything else, this is the time to do it. Go for it. Boom.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Not much for self promotion, but I will do it shamelessly right now.
No shame.
Yeah. So Nathaniel Sliffe on Facebook. That's SLIFFE. So that's probably like the best way to reach me if you want to connect. And then also I do. Well, you can talk to me there, but I cover New Hampshire for Young Americans for Liberty as their state chair. So we're working here to build chapters on college campuses and try to open students' eyes to liberty, and that's going really well so far. I just took that over in January, so just several months now. It's going good. So yeah, we're doing that, and then I do paint contracting. So anybody who is a homeowner or a business owner, or you have anything that needs maintenance in that regard.
And you accept Bitcoin.
I accept Bitcoin. Yes,
Yes.
for my painting service.
And Nate's paint is indeed great.
It's quite great. I'm going to toot my own horn, but it's pretty damn great.
I'll toot it for you.
Thank you.
Boom.
All right, Shire Dude, where can everyone find your latest
Yeah, man.
orgasmic, trippiest
Trippy
shit
as
ever?
motherfuck.
God
Shire,
damn.
yeah, it's shiredude.com, and episode 6 is called Ash, after Ash the studio cat, who's in the studio somewhere. She's sneaking around.
She's by my feet.
It's
She's
really
warming them up.
really freaking trippy, and of course Rob Mathias is the star of that episode as well.
Yeah, you just have me like repeating one word over and over and over again next to Josie saying
Yes.
selfie.
Right.
Was it douche?
And also, I will be, as planned, live streaming this Friday the checkpoint.
I hope
in
this checkpoint
Manchester.
actually happens this time.
I think it will.
I think it will too.
I got a
There-
good feeling about this
yeah,
one.
It's in the air.
So
like-
now, what do they call it when you blue ball cop blockers? Blue block?
Blue block. I don't know.
Michael Blue Block? Okay, there we go. Now we're going a little bit
Is
crazy.
it called cop block blocking?
Cop blocking?
What?
Couple blocking?
Cop blockception.
Okay. This
Yeah.
guy has a website.
Yeah, vrebel.com. I'm going to be posting to that and whatnot. Gotta get on that more. But also, I will be in California second week in Anaheim, LA. Hit me
The
up, Orange
Democratic
County,
People's Republic,
Liberty on the
California.
Rocks, peoples, and we'll have some fun, have some drinks.
Yeah.
That's you, Rob Free Pube, whatever your name is.
There you go.
Gross. Yeah, I am the Desert Links, thedesertlinks.com, all the cool stuff. And guess what? The Rebel Love Show is funded entirely by viewers like you and our own little chump change that happens here and there. So we throw up a big Bitcoin thing at the end of the show.
Don't let
Please.
these guys lie to you. They pay for it mostly out of their pocket. So
Yeah, we
hook
can.
'em
Yeah,
up.
we.
Hook 'em
Yeah,
up.
this
Hook
is.
'em up. Hook 'em up.
We're in the hole paying for this. So if you want to help us out, send us some millibits right now because those will turn into.
Send
a
'em some
decent
fucking-
chunk.
some whole bits, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Send a couple bits.
Yeah, just
couple,
all you have to
couple
do
coins.
just send some. I mean, it's like you tip your fucking waitress for forgetting your order
Yeah.
twice. So can you just
How about this? If you listen to this thing entirely, and if you don't donate $2 in Bitcoin, you're a fucking asshole.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't be a Stefan Molyneux. No, you can donate less than that.
no,
We're not
okay.
going to rip you up.
I don't know
But if you-
Stefan Molyneux.
if you don't-
fuck that guy.
okay, says Molyneux is all like,
I
what
know
is
who he
this
is, but I don't
$2
listen to his
donation?
Yeah.
Oh, he does that?
Yeah, he went on a rampage about
Oh,
someone
really?
sending
So
him a $2
that was
donation.
a totally original thought. Of
Oh,
mine. I was not.
no, he
implying,
actually. There's
yeah.
a huge YouTube video about it.
You hate on
Yeah,
people
yeah.
for the amount they donate.
It's like the world
You know
needs
what?
my show.
You know what? If I donate anything, that's cool.
And
I'll appreciate it.
and
If you don't donate,
Go like
you're
us
a-
on Facebook.
if you
then.
watch the whole episode and you don't donate, you're a fucking cunt.
Yeah.
But if you're okay with being a cunt, I'm not gonna
right,
lambast
You-
you. For
you have
being
that
cunt-like.
option.
or be a
Yeah,
cunt,
yeah,
I guess.
right.
There you
You
go.
can be a cunt. This is America. You can be a fucking cunt if you want to. Okay.
Live the dream.
That
Love the dream.
escalated quickly.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you
Cheers.
very much for being our audience today. Thank you very much, Nate, for being great on our
Woohoo.
show.
Ooh.
Thank you, Shire Dude, for being dude-like as ever. And thank you for our lovely studio audience, which you can't really see here, but we're going to be
Was it?
drinking with in just a moment. And we are out.
Peace.
Peace.